Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your TVC News COVID special of May 21st, 2020. On tonight's headline, schools will remain closed in Ontario, the first case of COVID-19 in Rockland, and regional recovery funds. This is the news that many parents have been waiting for. Premier Doug Ford announced at his press briefing last Tuesday that Ontario schools will remain closed until September. Report cards will still be distributed, and students who complete their courses will graduate. However, they will have to forget about their graduation ball, which unfortunately has been postponed until next year. The Ontario government is also going to unveil an enhanced e-learning program that will support this plan and promote the continuity of learning for all students across the province. As for child care centres, they will reopen in the second phase of the province's reopening, according to the Minister of Education. Well, it had to happen at one point. An employee at the Parent Independent Grocer tested positive for COVID-19 last Sunday. The Eastern Ontario Health Unit quickly worked with the owner of the grocery store, Mr. Carl Parent, to assess the risk to employees and to trace the contacts of this individual. Naturally, the employee is in isolation for the next 14 days. However, we are told that the risk for the public is very low. The employee who worked as a cashier during the day at the store's outdoor garden center may have been contagious on May 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. The store and garden center were thoroughly cleaned and disinfected. Dr. Paul Roumiliotis, Medical Officer of Health at the Eastern Ontario Health Unit, invites customers who were at the store on these dates to self-monitor for symptoms. If they begin to experience symptoms, they should be tested. It is important to remember that common symptoms of COVID-19 may include fever, a new or worsening cough, sore throat, muscle aches, and pain, and other symptoms. The Eastern Ontario Health Unit reported an increase of 6 confirmed cases of COVID-19 last Tuesday. The cumulative total now stands at 141 cases in Eastern Ontario. Of these cases, 74 are now cured. And the Eastern Ontario Health Unit is expanding its criteria for those eligible for COVID-19 screening. Testing was limited to certain groups identified as priorities by the Ontario government. But with the resurgence of activity in some businesses in the community, the Eastern Ontario Health Unit is now offering testing to everyone who has symptoms of the virus. Increased testing is an important tool for the EOHU. It will help determine if the number of cases of COVID-19 is increasing or if they can be contained. It will also help guide the next steps to restart in the coming weeks or months. Dr. Roumiliotis says the increased screening may also help contain the spread of COVID-19, since the EOHU will have a better idea of where new cases are emerging so that public health can follow up more quickly. The EOHU, in collaboration with some health partners, is offering this screening at 5 assessment centers in the region. One of these is in Rockland. You can visit the EOHU website for more information. Dr. Roumiliotis reminds residents that precautionary measures are always essential to protect the general public, especially seniors and those with pre-existing health conditions. He urges everyone to take precautions and limit non-essential outings. The United Counties of Prescott-Russell Economic Development and Tourism Committee conducted a survey of 479 United Counties Prescott-Russell businesses to assess the entrepreneurial support required to act quickly and provide assistance to merchants. What emerges from this survey is that nearly 2/3 of businesses in the United Counties have difficulty juggling the impacts of COVID-19. 62% of the companies surveyed said that COVID-19 is responsible for the difficult situation they're experiencing in their operations. But for 19% of the merchants surveyed, the pandemic had no impact on their business, while another 13% said they took advantage of the situation to expand their service offering and then grow their business by adapting to this new reality. The study points out that businesses in the retail, agriculture, food services, and construction sectors with 1 to 19 employees are seeking the most support from governments. On the topic of small businesses that are struggling, The Prescott-Russell Community Development Corporation announced this week the Prescott-Russell Regional Assistance and Recovery Fund, created by the federal government to help support the fixed operating cost of SMEs when their revenues were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. This assistance fund is an interest-free loan that SMEs will be able to access. The Development Corporation will therefore be able to provide small businesses in difficulty with financial support of up to $40,000. This support is intended for entrepreneurs who do not have access to other federal relief measures. Switching over from COVID-19 for a moment, the City of Clarence-Rockland has chosen a new Protection Director and Fire Chief. Mr. Pierre Voisin will replace Mr. Brian Wilson, the current chief who has been in position for several years. Mr. Wilson will retire in June. Mr. Voisin, who lives in Rockland, works as Fire Chief for the City of Cornwall. Prior to this position, he was Assistant Chief for the Canadian Forces Fire Department. He was responsible for managing the fire services of National Defence and the Canadian Armed Forces, serving military bases, ships, and deployments at home and abroad. Mr. Voisin has the experience of a fire department composed mostly of volunteer firefighters, having served as a volunteer firefighter and training officer with the nation's fire department for several years. A graduate of the Ontario Fire College, he also has training in the areas of fire service administration, labor relations, and project management from the University of Ottawa, as well as the Universities of Cincinnati and Colorado. Mr. Voisin will take up his new position on June 23rd. Well, the following news will make the population happy. The City of Clarence-Rockland's municipal tennis courts are now open. We are talking about the Parc Simon Courts on Du Parc Avenue in Rockland, the Hammond Park on Jean Ron Road in Hammond, and the Clarence Creek Park behind the arena in Clarence Creek. People, however, must always respect the physical distances and follow the instructions posted at the entrance to the tennis courts. And the Rockland Dog Parks officially opened on May 20th. Again, the same restrictions apply in terms of social distancing and regulations posted. Boat owners are also very happy since the boat launch at Parc du Moulin, in Rockland is open since last Saturday. No long-term mooring is allowed, however. The docks are to be only used to help launch and remove boats. All other structures in the park remain closed to the public. The provincial government had announced the reopening of public libraries as early as May 19th. But the Clarence-Rockland Library says it is not yet ready. The supplies needed before moving forward have not yet arrived because of the accumulated delays. The manager also said that once the level of staff protection will be reached, the library will be able to offer a contactless service at the curb. In the meantime, the library team continues to provide virtual contents on all social media platforms and ebooks through Overdrive and Kantuk Station. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me today for your TVC news, and we will see you next week.